Thanks for turning to Arkansas Transition Services for help with transition assessments. We hope you enjoy and benefit from this first module, Transition Assessments, laying the foundation for positive post-school outcomes. We hope you will participate in our other modules on transition assessments as well. After participating in this module, please follow the link to an evaluation and provide your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. In this module, we will discuss the importance of transition assessments and explore a variety of assessments. We will share how assessments are the foundation of planning that leads to meaningful goals and activities, and ultimately to positive post-school outcomes. You will not only learn how to gain access to a wealth of transition assessments, but you will also learn how to select appropriate assessments for your students and even establish an assessment timeline that works for your team. Now, let's get started. You have probably heard of something called IDEA. That's the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. What you see here is how it's included in the law. It defines what transition services mean and how the activities should be thought of in terms of the results they will bring in each of the transition domains. But we can't plan for services if we don't know where the students are as far as skills, interests, needs, and preferences, and certainly not if we have no indication of what goals might be for them. Have you ever made a plan with little or no information about anything you needed or had to have to succeed? We certainly don't want to be on a road to nowhere, so keep calm and assess your student. It will give you the answers you need to get to a great life as an adult. We use DCDT's definition, and we think you should too. Notice the key words in the definition: ongoing, individuals, needs, preferences, and interests. Let these words remind you that transition assessment isn't a one-time event. It should be done over a period of time to get the best information. And remember this: the assessments you give to one student may not be the best choice for another student. Individualize it for your students. If they know their interest area for employment, but they don't know how to get support, then focus on a self-determination assessment. Some students will be able to share more information than others. That's why it's so important to have conversations with your students, their teachers, and their families. Now let's take a look at some key words in IDEA. Appropriate. Measurable post-secondary goals based on age appropriate. Training. Education. Employment. Independent living skills. This last set of words identifies all the different areas for which, as an IEP team, we must help establish goals. As a team, we must find appropriate assessments for these areas that can help us determine where the students' interests and skills can be worked into goals so that they can work on them while they are in high school. Then, when they leave us, they are more likely to reach those goals and live a fulfilled life. You may be asking yourself, do we really need to provide all these assessments? Isn't there just one that can give us all the information we need to know? The short answer to that is no. Assessments can be specific or general, but we are not aware of just one that will provide you with all the information you need to develop a workable plan for your student. It's important to consider all the transition domain areas and to ask specific questions. We should not assume a student has a certain skill or interest, or even that they can't do something because of their disability. You wouldn't want anyone assuming anything on your behalf if they were helping you to establish goals, would you? We categorize assessments into employment, career, education, training, and independent living skills and community participation, as those are the domains we plan for in the transition plan. But what about assessment tools that can provide information on career readiness, college readiness, self-determination skills, or social skills? These are necessary areas to assess that could fall into one or more of the transition domain areas. All of these are important to consider when we are making sure our students have the support they need to reach their goals. We can't support students effectively if we don't know their needs. Guess what? We can't know their needs if we don't assess them. And we can't just assess one time. Goals change, needs change, people change. Keep assessing. But how do you find assessments? What if you don't have the funds and your shelves are bare? Here is our advice. Try the Arkansas Transition Services website, www.arkansastransition.com. There you will find a wide variety of tools and resources, including assessments that are fillable form format, printable, or even online versions, and in all categories you need to plan for an effective transition plan. Let's look a little closer. Oftentimes, the team, including the student, might not have any idea what career they're interested in or what their interests or skills are. How many of us knew exactly what we wanted to do at age 15 or 16? This is where the Transition Student Interview will be quite helpful. It's a tool that's a fillable form and allows you to sit down with a student and have a conversation about their dreams, their abilities, and what they might need to do to get there. The Transition Student Interview is a great place to start. Once you get started, you will know what information you are lacking and what other types of assessments you will need to access. You will find many of those tools on the Assessing Tools page of the Arkansas Transition Services website. So once you find some assessments, what happens? How do you know if you have all you need? We suggest considering the Transition Assessment Review Form. This is a form that ideally is completed by a team of individuals involved in the transition planning process. The form guides you through the process of determining if the particular assessment would be appropriate. It not only asks the purpose of the assessment, but also what type it is, who it's designed for, cost if there is one, if it's designed for a specific disability or age, and its strengths and weaknesses. We encourage you to sit down with your team members and some assessments and complete this form. It won't take long before you have great information on a variety of assessments, and it will help you decide what assessments will work best for your students. Imagine getting your team together to complete these forms and the rich discussions you could have. On the front end, it might take a little more time, but you can spread out the reviews, and ultimately, you will have a great selection of appropriate assessments to use on your students. Keep a copy of these completed forms in a master binder, scan the copies and store on Google Drive, or even on LiveBinder if you're using that tool. Okay, so you know how important transition assessments are, you know where you can find some, and you know you need a variety. But did you know you can complete assessments in a variety of ways? Many educators think that they have to be the one person to provide the assessment, score it, and analyze the results. We are here to tell you that it's important that the assessment process is a coordinated effort, just like the planning process. As you begin planning to assess, it's important to ask your coworkers and educators in your school what types of assessments they might provide. Talk to your counselors as well as others. You will probably find that the counselor is giving some type of career exploration assessment and the health teacher is giving some type of health awareness assessment. Certainly ask the parents. Ask them and anyone else who might have helpful information on your student to share. Let them know it could help the student's IEP team develop an IEP with a transition plan that is rich and full of meaningful goals and activities. Whether you are in school with students on campus or off campus, you can still find assessments on our website that are in fillable forms. There are a variety of ways to complete assessments: in person, virtually, documenting answers for the student, asking those who know and work with the student to provide information. All of these can be helpful in getting information you need to develop a meaningful plan. One of the most important things to do when you have completed any kind of assessment is sharing the results of the assessments with the student. Don't forget that you can also create your own assessments to get the information you need for a student's individualized transition plan. Person-centered planning is also a way to gather important information that can be used to develop a transition plan. For more information on person-centered planning, talk to your transition consultant. The assessment process can be timely. That's why we highly recommend working with a team. We mentioned earlier how it's important to talk to your colleagues and find out what they do provide assessment-wise in their classrooms. It could be something you could use to help determine post-secondary goals or even activities while they are in high school. We also talked about how the team could complete the assessment review process much easier than one person could. Now we'd like to give you another great tip. Establish a transition assessment timeline. Establishing a timeline gives everyone a job to do and a deadline to have the job completed. It also helps everyone have a role in the process, which allows each to get to know the student better. Don't know what an assessment timeline is? Just go to our website and look on the Assessing Tools page. There are different versions you can pick from or even adapt to your liking. You make it work for your team. Maybe each team member provides an assessment in a specific month. Depending on the size of your team, maybe each member provides a couple of assessments. Don't forget parents can complete assessments, as can students. You don't have to do all the work. Speaking of not doing all the work, your friendly transition consultant has a great transition assessment library that you have access to. We already told you about the resources on our website, but did you know that you can access some hard copy samples of various transition assessments from our shelves? You can try before you buy. Even if you don't know what assessments you need, we can often provide a sample packet of a variety of assessments. You review and try them out with students and then decide if you want to make the purchase. We can't provide assessments for an entire class, but sometimes we have just what you need for 1 or 2 students. The best thing you can do when you begin the transition assessment process is talk to your transition consultant. Don't wait until the week before it's time to hold IEP meetings. Call us now so we can help you help your students. We all want the best outcomes for our students. Let's work together to make that happen. We are there virtually for all your transition needs. Please take a minute and let us know how we did. We know these times are unprecedented, and we are working to accommodate the needs you have in learning more about secondary transition. Thanks for completing the evaluation. Have a great day.